34701. Each SMS costing you R2. Look forward to hearing from you on SAFM, FM 1042107. While I'm waiting out for your SMSs, I will have the great pleasure of welcoming onto the show a true legend of 80s South African sport, Hazel Gumede. Good afternoon and welcome to SAFM Sports Special.
Good afternoon, Chad.
Oh, Hazel is very well known as being an 80s netball phenomenon here in South Africa. She continues to do great work in promoting netball development here and abroad. She's also part of the staff at the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. Hazel, rewind 25 years for us. What was it like being a premier netball player back then?
It was great because it was, from passion. It was not just something that I was doing because, I was bored or something, but it was passion-driven.
Do you think that that's changed a lot?
Yes, it did. It did because nowadays we don't get, players that has passion for the sport because, especially since we don't have sport in schools, so that is pulling us down.
Well, besides the lack of passion, do you think that there's enough netball development from the authorities? There's enough push for netball to be popularized?
Not at all. Not at all. Because at the moment, you find, most girls are just loitering in the streets because they have nothing to do or else they're watching TV. That is why we have this problem of obesity. Because our kids are no longer active.
It's sad to see, but at least we've got people like you with 36 years of experience in the game of netball to be there and help with its development, help with it being nurtured here in South Africa. How are you doing that, though? How are you making sure that your skills aren't wasted in that department?
What I've started in 2009. I started with street netball because, of the hunger for the game. So trying to revive the sport. But unfortunately, because I was the only driver and the only one, not getting assistance from anywhere. So, even that, it's dying a slow death. But I'm trying by all means that, the girls, because, looking at them when they play on the street, looking at their face, looking at those smiles, then it keeps me going.
Do you think that if we provided the opportunities to our youngsters, to our young ladies, it would be taken?
I'm definitely sure. I've seen that. I've witnessed that in 2009 when I started street netball. They started playing during the winter holidays. But I promise you, the very first day, the first street that I was on, I had 160 girls from under 9 up to under 17.
Wow. So a nice, decent mix as well.
Yes, it is. It is.
Hazel, netball, and as far as I know, is the second biggest sport in South Africa in terms of competitors. Maybe not
That's
fans.
Right.
So let's have a very frank and honest discussion. If you have that many people taking part, it seems absolutely ludicrous that there's no financial support from the private sector and what seems like little to no interest in sporting authorities to grow it as a major South African sport.
Yeah, I think, we're still taken as a Cinderella sport, but we are definitely number 2 in the world, like the number 2 sport. But because we don't have finances, we don't have enough sponsors, except for SPA. The last time I left, the national, the only sponsor we had was only SPA. So SPA was honest to us and was plowing back, as, women are the ones that are buying from SPA. So SPA was plowing back. But with more sponsorships, I'm sure we can go far.
Where must the sponsorship come from, though?
Sponsorship can come from the private sector, from business people. It can come from the sports department, the SASCOC. As you know, SASCOC is trying to assist, but it can't. It can't just do everything on their own. We need other sectors, other stakeholders.
I don't know. Look, I'm no economist, but I find it strange that there be no financial backing, no people from the private sector coming forward and jumping at the opportunity to become involved in a sport with that much coverage.
Like I was saying, it's because we are still taken as the Cinderella sport. But as soon as we are recognized as the sport, as the part of, the community building and people that are taking the young ones away from the streets, and get more people. We have, big companies that are always plowing to soccer and other sporting codes, but nothing to netball except for Spa.
So what can we as South Africans do to help netball being nurtured, netball growing?
We need sponsors. We need more sponsors. And we need people who have experience and the talent or people who have passion for the game to start doing that, taking the kids away from the streets. I'm sure we can do it.
All right, now turning our attention away from football for a moment, what are you exactly doing at the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy, Hazel?
I'm a teacher. I'm teaching physical education, and I do co-curricular. I'm coaching netball.
Fantastic. How exactly did you manage to become part of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy, though?
I applied like any other person, and I got the job. But I think most of all it was because of my background. Like I've been with the sport for a long time.
All right, well, Hazel, how can we get a hold of you nowadays? One of South Africa's real sporting legends. You were extremely well known during the 80s, during the height of your netball career. But how can we keep up with your exploits? Keep up with your happenings now?
If you can log on to G Sport for Girls, that is where it's happening.
G Sport for Girls. Does Hazel Gumede have a?
G Sport for Girls.
Yes. Do you have a profile there?
Yes, I have a profile there.
All right, fantastic. And then bottom line, Hazel, if we're going to grow the sport of netball here in South Africa, it's going to be an all-round effort, but at the same time, critical one, sponsors. Hazel, you still with us?
Yes, I'm still with you.
As I was saying, bottom line, we're never going to get anywhere in netball unless we have the private sector putting their money where their mouth is.
Yes, that is one part. But the other thing, if you can get netball or all other sporting codes back to schools, because at the moment it's only private schools that have sport. The township schools, they don't have. And that is where we used to get good players. I for one, attended school in Soweto from crèche up to matric. So that is where, the core players can be found. But unfortunately, they become wasted because they have nothing to do. They have nowhere to go. But if we can come up, and start even, with the sports department, to plow something in the townships to say, okay, this is what we can offer, and then we need people to do this because we really need development. We really need a pool where we can get players from.
Let's be honest, though. Do you not think it's changed at all? Your time, you and your heyday in the 80s, you said you were playing for no salary, you were playing for passion. Even the netballers that are successful nowadays, they play because they don't necessarily play for that raw passion anymore. And how can you attract someone to the sport when you live in a world that's sort of dictated by how much money you earn?
No, I think, we still have players that have passion. I know of players that are in the national team now that I know it's just passion driven because as I was a player, I used to take unpaid leave. So those girls are still doing that. So it means we still have a handful of girls that still want to get further. But it is still not enough.
All right, well, development of netball is the name of the game for Hazel. She's been chatting to us here on SAFM Sports Special. 80s netballing legend Hazel Gumede. Go well, keep well. We'll put up the details of your profile on G Sport on our Twitter feed.
Thank you.